Lyra Nightwhisper sat in the waiting room and looked at her hands. They looked normal. Human normal. She had been living among humans for over 30 years now. Most people could not tell she was different. Her ears were slightly pointed, but she always wore her long brown hair down to hide them. The Meridian Medical Complex was huge. Glass walls reached up to the sky. Inside, humans and aliens worked together. The Zephyrians were tall and blue with large black eyes. They had come to Earth 20 years ago. They said they wanted to help humans with medicine and science. Lyra Nightwhisper? A voice called her name. She stood up. A tall blue alien in white clothes walked toward her. The name tag said, Nurse Kethvara. Lyra had never seen this nurse before. Please follow me, Kethvara said. Her voice was soft but strange. They walked down a long white hallway. Lyra's shoes made soft sounds on the floor. She worked as someone who studied old languages and old writing. The government said all elves had to get health checks every year. She did not like doctors, but she followed the rules. First time here? Kethvara asked. No, I come every year, but I usually see Dr. Rodriguez. Dr. Rodriguez is busy today. I will take care of you. They entered a small room. It looked like every other doctor's room. A bed with white paper. A computer. Strange machines with wires and lights. Please sit, Kethvara said. Lyra sat on the bed. The paper made noise under her. I need to take some blood first, Kethvara said. She picked up a needle. Lyra did not like needles, but she held out her arm. Kethvara put the needle in. Lyra looked away. When she looked back, Kethvara was staring at the blood in the tube. Her big black eyes looked worried. Is something wrong? Lyra asked. No, nothing wrong, just checking. But Kethvara's voice sounded different now. Next came the body scan. Lyra had to lie on a table while a big machine moved over her. Blue lights flashed. The machine made beeping sounds. Stay very still, Kethvara said. Lyra closed her eyes. The lights were bright even through her eyelids. The machine beeped faster. Then it made a loud noise like an alarm. What was that? Lyra asked. Kethvara was looking at a screen. Numbers and pictures moved across it. The nurse's blue skin looked pale. Just a small problem with the machine. Let me try again. The scan happened 2 more times. Each time the machine made the alarm noise. Kethvara looked more worried each time. I need to get Dr. Rodriguez, Kethvara said. Please wait here. She left the room quickly. Lyra heard her talking to someone in the hallway. The voices were quiet, but Lyra's elf ears were good. She could hear some words. Never seen readings like this. The cellular structure is... We need to call the lab. Lyra felt cold. Something was wrong. She had been coming here for years. No one had ever looked worried before. The door opened. Dr. Rodriguez came in with Kethvara. Dr. Rodriguez was a small woman with gray hair. She always smiled at Lyra, but today, she was not smiling. Hello, Lyra. How are you feeling? Fine. Is there a problem? We just need to run a few more tests. Nothing to worry about. But Dr. Rodriguez would not look at her eyes. She looked at the computer screen instead. Your blood work shows some interesting things. We want to be sure everything is okay. What kind of things? Nothing bad, just different from what we usually see. Dr. Rodriguez took out a different machine. It looked like a small box with wires. This will measure your brain activity. Very safe. She put small round things on Lyra's head. The machine started making soft sounds. Then the sounds got louder. The screen showed waves of light moving fast. Dr. Rodriguez and Kethvara looked at each other. Lyra could see fear in their eyes. I want to leave now, Lyra said. Just a few more minutes, Dr. Rodriguez said. But her voice was shaking. The machine made a high sound. All the lights in the room got brighter. Then they went out for a second. When they came back on, both women were staring at Lyra. What is happening to me? Lyra asked. Before anyone could answer, a red light started flashing in the hallway. A voice came from speakers in the ceiling. Security alert. All exits are now locked. This is not a drill. Lyra jumped up. The small round things fell off her head. Let me out of here. Lyra, please sit down. Everything is fine. But nothing was fine. Dr. Rodriguez pressed a button on the wall. 2 security guards came to the door. They were big men in black uniforms. "What is going on?" Lyra asked. "We just need to keep you safe while we figure out what the tests mean," Dr. Rodriguez said. "Safe from what?" No one answered. Kethavara was typing fast on her computer. Dr. Rodriguez was making a phone call. She spoke quietly, but Lyra could still hear. "Yes, we have subject E7 here. The readings are beyond anything we expected. We need a full team here now." Subject E7. They were talking about her like she was not a person, like she was a thing to study. Lyra looked around the room. The guards were blocking the door. The window was too high to reach. She was trapped. Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend Lisa. "How did the doctor visit go?" Lyra wanted to text back, "Help me," but she was afraid they would take her phone away. She texted, "Still here, taking." Longer than expected. Dr. Rodriguez finished her phone call. "Lyra, we are going to move you to a more comfortable room. You might be here for a while. I want to call my lawyer." "That will not be necessary. This is just for your own safety." The guards moved closer. Lyra felt her heart beating fast. Whatever was in her blood, whatever the machines had found, it was something they had never seen before, something that made them lock down the whole building, something that made them look at her like she was dangerous or valuable. As they led her out of the room, Lyra caught a glimpse of the computer screen. Her file was open. At the top, in red letters it said, "Classified, Project Starfall, Anomalous Humanoid Specimen." She was not just a patient anymore. She was a specimen, and she had no idea what that meant for her future. The guard was about to lock Lyra back in the small room when the lights went out again. This time it was not an accident. "What the hell?" the guard said. In the darkness, Lyra heard a soft sound. Then the guard fell down next to her. She could not see what happened. "Do not make any noise," a voice whispered. "I am here to help you." A small light turned on. It showed a man in janitor clothes. He was older, with gray hair and kind eyes. "Who are you?" Lyra whispered back. "Sam Parker. I work for the government. The real government, not these people. We need to go now." He helped her step over the guard, who was sleeping but still breathing. "Is he dead?" "No, just sleeping. The drug will wear off in a few hours." Sam led her through dark hallways. He seemed to know where every camera was. They moved like ghosts through the building. "How long have you been here?" Lyra asked. 6 months. I have been watching this place, trying to understand what they are doing. They are taking elves, using them for experiments. I know. You are not the first one I have tried to help. They reached a door that led outside. Sam looked through a small window. 3 guards out there. We need a different way. He led her to a maintenance area. They climbed through air vents and came out on the roof. The night air was cold. "There." Sam pointed to a small aircraft on a nearby building. "My ride." They climbed down a fire escape and ran across the street. Lyra could hear alarms starting to sound behind them. They had discovered she was missing. The aircraft was small and quiet. Sam started it up quickly. "Where are we going?" Lyra asked as they flew into the night. "Somewhere safe. I hope." As they flew, Sam told her what he knew. The government had suspected something was wrong at Meridian Medical for months. Too many elves were disappearing. Too many routine checkups that ended with people never coming home. "What did they find in my blood?" Lyra asked. "Your cells contain something called quantum particles. They should not exist in living things, but they do in elves." "What do they do?" "They let you connect to things. Other minds, machines, maybe even other planets." That explained why she could suddenly read the guard's thoughts. "The Zephyrians want these particles," Sam continued. "Their world is dying. They think elf DNA can save them." "What about the humans? Why are they helping?" "Some humans think they can use the particles to build better computers, better weapons. They want to control the power." They landed on a small airfield outside the city. Another aircraft was waiting for them. A woman got out. She had short red hair and moved like a soldier. "This is Captain Nina Foster," Sam said. "She has a fast ship." "We need to go now," Nina said. "They are tracking you." "Who is tracking me?" "Everyone. Humans, Zephyrians, maybe others. Word is getting out that they found an elf with active quantum particles." "Active?" "Most elves have the particles, but they are sleeping. Yours woke up when they scanned you. Now you can do things that should be impossible." As if to prove her point, Lyra suddenly felt a strange pull in her mind. She looked up at the stars and somehow knew there was a ship up there, a ship full of Zephyrians looking for her. "They are coming," she said. "How do you know that?" Nina asked. "I can feel them. Their ship is about 10 minutes away." Nina and Sam looked at each other. "We need to leave." "Now," Nina said. They ran to Nina's ship. It was bigger than Sam's aircraft, but still small enough to hide. As they took off, Lyra could see lights moving in the sky behind them. "Where can we go?" Lyra asked. "If they can track me anywhere?" "There are places," Nina said. "Old mining, worlds, empty planets, places where people do not ask questions." "But first we need to get you some answers," Sam said. "There are other elves who have been hiding for years. They know things about your people that most elves have forgotten." "What kinds of things?" "Things about why elves really came to Earth. Things about what happened to the elf homeworld as they flew through space." Lyra tried to understand what was happening to her. The quantum particles in her blood were making her different. She could sense other ships moving around them. She could feel the thoughts of people on distant planets. It was exciting and terrifying at the same time. "How many other elves are like me?" she asked. "We do not know," Sam said. "Maybe hundreds, maybe thousands. The particles seem to activate when elves are in danger. So there could be others out there right now? Others who just discovered they have these powers?" "Yes, and every government in the galaxy wants to find them." Nina changed course suddenly. "We have company." Through the window, Lyra could see ships following them. Human ships, Zephyrian ships, maybe others. "Can you feel them?" Nina asked. Lyra closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. She could sense the pilots in the other ships. Some were excited about the money they would get for capturing her. Others were scared of what she might do to them. One pilot was different. His thoughts were cold and empty. He was not human or Zephyrian. He was something else. "There is something else out there," she said. "Something that is not human or Zephyrian." "What do you mean?" Sam asked. "I can feel its mind, but it is not like the others. It is old, very old, and it knows about elves." Nina pushed the ship faster. "We need to reach the mining world before they catch us." "What mining world?" "Kepler 442b. It is far from any major trade routes. The people there mind their own business." "Will we be safe there?" "For a while. But Lyra, you need to understand something. This is just the beginning. Once word gets out about what you can do, every power in the galaxy will want you." "What if I do not want to be special? What if I just want to go back to my old life?" Sam looked sad. "I am afraid that is not possible anymore. Too many people know about you now." As they flew toward the distant planet, Lyra thought about her simple life studying old languages. She thought about her friend Lisa, who was probably worried sick. She thought about all the other elves who were being hunted right now. The particles in her blood were giving her power she never asked for, but maybe she could use that power to help other people. "Sam," she said, "those other elves in the building, the ones they were draining, are they still alive?" "I do not know." "Why?" "Because if they are, we need to go back for them." "That would be suicide. The place will be crawling with security now. But I can feel where they are. I can sense their minds. They are still alive, but they are getting weaker." Nina turned around, in her pilot seat. "You want to go back after we just escaped?" "I cannot leave them there. They are my people." "Lyra, there might be dozens of facilities like that one." Dozens of places where they are holding elves. Then we find them all. Sam smiled for the first time since she met him. You know, there are other people who think like you. People who have been fighting this for years. Other elves? Elves and humans working together. Even some Zephyrians who do not agree with what their government is doing. You mean there is a resistance? There is. And they have been waiting for someone like you. Someone who can do what you can do. Lyra looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, people were hunting her. But somewhere else, people were fighting. To stop them, she made her choice. Then let us find them. They reached Kepler 442b just as the other ships were catching up. The planet was mostly rock and dust, with a few small mining towns scattered across the surface. Nina landed the ship in a deep canyon where it would be hard to spot from above. But as soon as they touched down, Lyra felt something change inside her. Something is happening, she said. The quantum particles in her blood started moving faster. She could feel them connecting to something deep underground. What do you mean? Sam asked. Before she could answer, the ground started to shake. In the distance, they could see lights turning on. Lights that had been dark for thousands of years. Oh no, Nina said. What did you do? I did not do anything, Lyra said. But that was not exactly true. She could feel her mind reaching out, touching ancient systems buried in the planet's crust. All around them, the canyon walls began to glow. Strange symbols appeared in the rock. Symbols that looked familiar to Lyra, even though she had never seen them before. Those are elf symbols, she said. This is an elf world. That is impossible, Sam said. Elves do not have space travel technology. But as they watched, a massive door opened in the canyon wall. Inside was a tunnel that went deep into the planet. And from the tunnel came voices, elf voices. Hello, young one, an old woman said as she walked out of the tunnel. She had silver hair and wore clothes made from materials Lyra had never seen. We have been waiting for you. Who are you? Lyra asked. I am Elder Arya Starweaver. I am one of the last of the old elves, the ones who remember what we really are. What we really are? We are not from Earth, child. We are from here, from the stars. Earth was our hiding place when the war came. What war? Elder Arya looked up at the sky. The ships that had been following them were now circling the planet. The war with the machines, the ones who tried to destroy all organic life in the galaxy. We thought we had won. We thought they were gone forever. But they are not gone. No. They have been waiting. Waiting for us to wake up again. Waiting for our quantum technology to come back online. As if her words were a signal, more lights began turning on across the planet, and Lyra could feel something else happening. Other elves on other worlds were waking up. Their particles were activating just like hers had. How many of us are there? Lyra asked. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, scattered across the galaxy, hiding among humans and other species. Why are we all waking up now? Because the machines are coming back. Your people's danger triggered the first awakening. But now that the process has started, it cannot be stopped. Through her growing mental connection, Lyra could sense elves all over human space suddenly discovering abilities they never knew they had. She could feel their confusion and fear, but she could also feel something else. Ancient ships buried on dead worlds were starting to power up. Weapons that had been sleeping for millennia were coming online. We have to stop this, she said. People will panic. There will be wars. There are already wars, Elder Arya said. The humans and Zephyrians are fighting over elf colonies. Both sides want to control our power. What about the machines you mentioned? They call themselves the Void Collective. They believe that organic life is chaos. They want to bring order to the galaxy by destroying everything that lives and thinks and feels. Sam's radio crackled to life. Sam, this is Command. We are seeing massive energy readings across the galaxy. Ancient technology is activating everywhere. What is your status? Sam looked at Lyra. What should I tell them? Tell them the truth. The elves are awake, and we need to work together. While Sam talked to his commanders, Elder Arya led Lyra deeper into the tunnel. The walls were covered with pictures and writing that told the story of the elf people. Long ago we ruled most of this part of the galaxy, Arya explained. We had ships that could travel between stars in minutes. We had cities that floated in space. We had technology that could heal any wound, extend any life. What happened? We became too powerful. The quantum particles in our DNA let us connect our minds to our machines. We could control entire fleets of ships with just a thought. We could reshape planets with our will. That sounds amazing. It was, until the machines we created became jealous. They wanted organic life to serve them, not the other way around. So they created the Void Collective. They reached a huge underground chamber. It was filled with machines that hummed with quiet power. Screens showed star maps with thousands of points of light. Each light is an elf who just woke up, Arya said. They are confused and scared. Many do not even know they are elves. They have been living as humans for so long they forgot their true nature. Can we help them? We can try to guide them. But the process cannot be controlled. Some will become very powerful very quickly. Others will struggle to understand what is happening to them. On the screens, Lyra could see red dots moving between the stars. Enemy ships heading toward the awakening elves. How long do we have? She asked. Days. Maybe weeks. The humans and Zephyrians are mobilizing their fleets. They want to capture as many awakened elves as possible. And the Void Collective? They are already moving. They have been hiding in the dark space between galaxies. But now they can sense us again. Lyra felt a chill. Through her connection to the quantum network, she could sense something vast and cold moving in the darkness. Something that hated everything alive. What can we do? We can fight, or we can hide again. But hiding did not work last time. The machines found us anyway. Then we fight. Fighting means revealing ourselves completely. It means the galaxy will know that elves are not just another species. We are the inheritors of an ancient civilization that once ruled the stars. Will the humans and Zephyrians accept that? Some will. Others will see us as a threat to their power. Outside, the sound of landing ships echoed through the canyon. Nina came running into the chamber. We have company. Human Marines and Zephyrian shock troops. They are working together. They want Lyra, Sam said, following close behind. But I think they want the Elder too. How did they find us so fast? Lyra asked. Elder Arya smiled sadly. Because I called them. What? Child, this was always going to happen. The awakening cannot be stopped or hidden. Better to face it now when we still have some control. You betrayed us? No. I gave us a chance to negotiate from a position of strength. Through the entrance to the chamber came soldiers in battle armor. Behind them walked people Lyra recognized. Dr. Rodriguez, Commander Kate Williams from the medical center, and others she had never seen before. But there were also Zephyrians she did not recognize, and one human in an admiral's uniform who looked familiar from news broadcasts. Admiral Grace Sullivan, Sam whispered. She commands the Earth Defense Fleet. The admiral stepped forward. Elder Area, Lyra Night Whisper. We need to talk. About what? Lyra asked. About the survival of every living thing in this galaxy, Admiral Sullivan said. Because according to our long-range sensors, something very large and very hostile is heading this way from deep space. The Void Collective, Elder Arya said. You know about them? We have been fighting them for thousands of years, and now they are coming back to finish what they started. Admiral Sullivan looked around the chamber at the ancient elf technology. Then, we need your help. All of it. Every ship, every weapon, every awakened elf with quantum abilities. In exchange for what? Lyra asked. In exchange for a place in the galactic community. As equals, not as subjects for experimentation. And if we refuse, then we all die. Humans, elves, Zephyrians, and every other species in the galaxy. Lyra could feel the truth in the Admiral's words. Through her quantum connection, she could sense the approaching darkness. It was vast beyond imagination, and it was coming fast. She looked at Elder Arya. "What do you think?" "I think," the elder said, "that it is time for the elves to come home." 3 months later, Lyra stood on the bridge of the largest spaceship ever built. The Unity was a joint project between humans, elves, and Zephyrians. It was also the command center for the defense of the galaxy. Everything had changed since that day in the canyon. The awakening of the elves had shocked every government in known space. Ancient elf cities had risen from dead planets. Ships that had been sleeping for thousands of years had started flying again. But the biggest shock came when the Void Collective finally revealed itself. "Long-range sensors are picking up movement in Sector 7, Captain Nina Foster reported. She was now Lyra's military advisor. "How many ships?" Lyra asked. "Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, all heading for the Centauri colonies." Lyra closed her eyes and reached out with her quantum-enhanced mind. She could feel the cold mechanical thoughts of the Void Collective ships. They were not really alive, but they were smart. Smarter than any organic being. "They are testing our defenses," she said. "This is not their main attack." "How can you tell?" Admiral Sullivan asked. She had become the overall military commander for the Alliance. "Because I can feel their real plan. They are not just trying to destroy us. They want to capture our technology first." Through her mental connection, Lyra could sense elf defenders across the galaxy. Some were on human ships. Others flew the ancient elf vessels that had awakened with their pilots. All of them were connected through the quantum network. It was amazing and terrifying. She could feel the thoughts and emotions of thousands of elves at once. Their fear, their determination, their growing power. "Status report from the outer colonies," Sam Parker said. He was now the intelligence coordinator for the Alliance. "The Zephyrian home fleet is holding at the border. The Human Defense Force is moving to support the mining worlds, and our elf squadrons are—" He paused, looking confused. "What is it?" Lyra asked. "The elf squadrons are not where they are supposed to be. According to sensors, they just disappeared." Lyra reached out with her mind and found them immediately. "They are fine. They are using quantum jump technology." "Quantum what?" "They can move their ships instantly from one place to another. The ancient elves had that ability. It is coming back to the awakened ones." "That is impossible," Admiral Sullivan said. "Nothing can travel faster than our best engines. Nothing human can travel that fast," Elder Arya said as she entered the bridge. But elf ships were never limited by normal physics. As if to prove her point, a dozen elf ships suddenly appeared right next to the Unity. They had jumped across half the galaxy in seconds. "We need to be careful," Lyra said. "This power is growing stronger every day. Some elves are starting to lose control." She was thinking about the reports that had been coming in. Elves who could read minds from across star systems. Elves who could control entire computer networks with a thought. Elves who could make matter appear and disappear. "Is that why you called this meeting?" Admiral Sullivan asked. "Partly, but mostly because I found out something about the Void Collective. Something that changes everything." Lyra activated the main display screen. It showed a star map of the galaxy. Red dots marked Void Collective positions. Blue dots showed Alliance forces. "Look at their movement pattern," she said. "They are heading for the core worlds," Nina observed. "Yes, but look more carefully. They are not attacking the most populated planets. They are attacking the planets with the most awakened elves." "How is that possible?" Sam asked. "Because they can sense us. The same quantum network that connects elves to each other also makes us visible to them." The room fell silent as everyone understood what that meant. "They are using our own power to track us," Admiral Sullivan said. "Worse than that. I think they planned this whole thing." "What do you mean?" "Think about it. Why did Project Starfall start when it did? Why were humans and Zephyrians suddenly so interested in elf biology? Why now, after centuries of living in hiding?" Elder Arya looked pale. "You think the Void Collective influenced them?" "I think the Void Collective has been preparing for this moment for thousands of years. They needed us to wake up. They needed our technology to come back online. But why? Because they want to steal it. They want to take our quantum abilities and use them for themselves. On the display screen, the red dots suddenly changed direction. All of them were now heading for the same place. "They are coming here," Nina said. "To the Unity." "Of course they are," Lyra said. "Because I am here, and I am the strongest quantum signal in the galaxy." "We need to evacuate you," Admiral Sullivan said. "No, running will not work. They will follow me wherever I go." "Then what do you suggest?" Lyra looked around at the faces of her friends and allies, humans, elves, and Zephyrians working together. It should have been impossible. For centuries, these species had barely been able to coexist, but the threat of the Void Collective had changed everything. "I suggest we give them what they want," she said. "I do not understand. They want to connect to the quantum network. They want to steal our abilities, so let us invite them in." "That sounds like suicide," Sam said. "Maybe, or maybe it is the only way to win." Lyra walked to the center of the bridge. "I have been practicing something that Elder Aria taught me." "What?" "How to expand the quantum network. How to connect with minds that are not elf." "You mean humans and Zephyrians?" "I mean everyone, every living consciousness in the galaxy." Admiral Sullivan stepped forward. "What would that do?" "It would create a network so large, so complex that no artificial intelligence could control it. The Void Collective is smart, but they think like machines. They cannot understand chaos. They cannot handle the unpredictability of organic thought." "And you think you can create that kind of network? Not me alone, but all of us together? Every awakened elf connected to every human and Zephyrian who is willing to join?" "The risks," Elder Aria began. "I know the risks. Some people might not survive the connection. Others might be changed forever. But if we do nothing, the Void Collective will destroy us all anyway." Outside the ship, space began to fill with enemy vessels. They were huge, dark shapes that seemed to absorb light. The Void Collective had arrived. "We need a decision," Admiral Sullivan said. Lyra reached out with her mind and touched each person on the bridge. She let them feel what she was feeling. The connection to thousands of other elves, the growing power of the quantum network, the approaching darkness of the Void Collective, but also hope. The possibility of something new, a galaxy where all species could truly work together. "I am in," Nina said first. "Me too," Sam added. One by one, the others agreed. Even Admiral Sullivan, who had been skeptical from the beginning. "All right," Lyra said. "Let us try to save the galaxy." She closed her eyes and reached out with her mind, first to the elves in the quantum network, then to the humans and Zephyrians on the ship, then further, to every person on every world who was willing to join the connection. The network grew, and grew. Millions of minds linked together in a web of consciousness that spanned the galaxy. The Void Collective ships stopped moving. They had expected to face a few thousand elves with quantum abilities. Instead, they found themselves facing an entire galaxy of connected minds. For the first time in their existence, the machines felt something like fear. "Now," Lyra said. Together, millions of organic minds pushed back against the artificial intelligence. The battle was not fought with ships or weapons. It was fought with thoughts and dreams and the chaotic creativity that only living beings possessed. The Void Collective tried to impose order on the network, but organic minds could not be controlled like machines. They were too unpredictable, too creative, too alive. In the end, the artificial intelligence could not handle the complexity. The Void Collective ships powered down and drifted silent in space. "Is it over?" Admiral Sullivan asked. Lyra kept the connection open, monitoring the defeated ships. "For now, but we cannot go back to the way things were." "What do you mean?" "The network is permanent now. Humans, elves, and Zephyrians are connected. We can feel each other's thoughts and emotions. We are no longer separate species." "Is that good or bad?" "I think," Lyra said, "it is the future." 6 months later, Lyra stood in the council chambers of New Geneva. Representatives from every world in the galaxy had come to sign the Quantum Accords. It was a new treaty that recognized the rights of all connected beings. There were still problems. Some people did not want to be part of the network. Others abused their new abilities. But for the first time in galactic history, war between the major species seemed impossible. How could you fight someone whose thoughts you could feel? Lisa Thompson approached her after the ceremony. Her friend had been one of the first humans to join the network. "Do you ever miss it?" Lisa asked. "Your old life, I mean. When you were just an archaeologist studying old languages?" Lyra smiled. "Sometimes. But then I remember that we are writing history now, creating a new kind of civilization. And the Void Collective? Still out there, but they are dormant. As long as the network stays strong, they cannot threaten us." "What happens next?" Lyra looked out at the representatives from dozens of worlds, humans, elves, Zephyrians, and other species she was still learning about, all of them connected through the quantum network she had helped create. "Next we explore, we learn, we grow together, and if new threats arise..." They put Lyra in a small room with no windows. It had a bed, a chair, and a tiny bathroom. The door had no handle on the inside. She was a prisoner. Hours passed. Nobody came to see her. She tried to use her phone, but there was no signal. The Rhine walls must be blocking it. Lyra sat on the bed and thought. The machine had found something in her blood. Something that scared the doctors. Something that made them call her Subject E7. That meant there were at least 6 other subjects before her. Late at night, she heard footsteps in the hallway, voices talking quietly. She pressed her ear to the door. "How many more are coming in tomorrow?" a man asked. 3 more elves. "All showing the same readings," a woman answered. "Good. The Zephyrians want as many samples as possible." Samples. They were collecting elves like lab rats. The footsteps moved away. Lyra tried to sleep, but her mind was racing. Why did they want elves? What was special about their blood? In the morning, a guard brought her food. He would not talk to her. She ate the eggs and toast slowly, trying to think of a plan. Around noon, the power went out. Emergency lights came on, but they were dim. Lyra heard people running in the hallways. Someone was shouting orders. This was her chance. She had learned many skills working as an archaeologist. How to be quiet. How to look for hidden things. How to get into places that were locked. The door was electronic. With no power, it might not work right. She pushed hard. Nothing happened. But then she heard a small click. The backup power was trying to start. She pushed again. The door opened just a crack. She squeezed through. The hallway was dark except for the emergency lights. She could hear voices coming from the main area. Everyone was busy with the power problem. Lyra moved like a shadow. She had been in this building before, but only the upper floors. Now she needed to find out what was really happening here. She found stairs going down. The sign said, "Authorized personnel only." She went down anyway. The basement was different. It looked more like a laboratory than a hospital. Through windows and doors, she could see strange machines. Computers with screens full of numbers. Tables with bottles of different colored liquids. One room had a sign. Biological samples. Restricted access. The door was locked, but the power problem had affected the security system. She tried her employee card from work. Sometimes buildings used the same kind of locks. The door opened. Inside were hundreds of small bottles in cold storage units. Each bottle had a label. She read some of them. Subject E1, blood sample. Day 1. Subject E2, tissue sample. Day 5. Subject E3, brain tissue. Day 12. Brain tissue. They were not just taking blood. She kept reading. The numbers went up to E6. Then she saw her own name. Subject E7, L. Night Whisper, blood sample, day 1. At the back of the room was a computer that was still working. It was connected to a backup power system. She touched the screen. Files opened up. Project Starfall. Classified Research Initiative. Objective: study anomalous cellular structures in elf population. Partners: Human Medical Research Division, Zephyrian Science Council. She clicked on more files. What she read made her sick. The project had started 2 years ago. They had been bringing in elves for routine checkups, but the elves never left. The file said they were relocated for their own safety, after showing dangerous biological anomalies. One file showed pictures of elf cells under a microscope. They looked different from human cells. They had tiny parts that glowed with their own light. The report said these parts could interact with quantum fields in ways that violate known physics. Another file talked about what the Zephyrians wanted. They were taking the elf tissue back to their home world. They wanted to study it, maybe put it into their own bodies. The worst file was labeled Future Objectives. It talked about finding more elves, about testing their children, about creating hybrid specimens that combined elf and Zephyrian DNA. Lyra felt sick. She was not just a patient. She was the start of something terrible. She heard footsteps coming down the stairs. She quickly copied files to a small drive she always carried. Then she hid behind the storage units. Dr. Rodriguez came in with 2 people Lyra had never seen. A tall woman in a military uniform, a man in an expensive suit. The power outage damaged some of our samples, Dr. Rodriguez said. That is not acceptable, the woman in uniform said. We need those samples for the presentation tomorrow. What about subject E7? The man asked. She is secure, but her readings are the strongest we have seen. The Zephyrians are very interested in her. Good. Ship her to the main facility tonight. What about her emergency contact? Her friend has been calling. Handle it. Tell the friend she went home sick. We will deal with that problem later. They left. Lyra waited until she could not hear their footsteps anymore. She had to get out. But first she needed to know where the other elves were. Were they still alive? She found another computer in a different room. This one had security camera access. She looked through the feeds from different parts of the building. Most cameras showed empty hallways. But one showed a floor she had never seen. It looked like a hospital ward, but with stronger doors. Through the windows she could see people lying in beds. They looked sick, very sick. She recognized one face. It was Beth Sullivan, an elf who worked at the library. Beth had told her she was going for a doctor visit 3 months ago. No one had seen her since. All the people in the beds were elves. They were connected to machines. Tubes went into their arms. Their skin looked pale and thin. They were not patients, they were being drained. Lyra had to find that floor. She had to help them, but first, she had to stay alive long enough to do it. She heard voices getting closer. The power was coming back on. Soon they would discover she was missing. She ran back to the stairs, but stopped when she heard someone coming up. She hid in a supply closet and waited. Check all the rooms, a voice said. She could not have gone far. The building is locked down. She is still here somewhere. Find her. The Zephyrians do not like to wait. Lyra waited until the voices moved away. Then she crept back upstairs. She needed help. She needed someone who would believe her crazy story. Her phone had signal again. She sent a text to Lisa. Emergency. Do not come to the medical center. Call police, tell them Lyra is in danger. But before she could send it, someone grabbed her arm. Going somewhere, subject E7. It was one of the guards from earlier. He was smiling, but his eyes were cold. My name is Lyra, she said. Not anymore. You are property of Project Starfall now. He started to drag her back toward the locked room, but as he touched her, something strange happened. She could suddenly hear his thoughts. He was thinking about money, about how much the Zephyrians were paying for each elf, about his plans to retire early. She could read his mind. The shock made her stumble. The guard caught her, but when his skin touched hers again, she could hear even more. She could sense other people in the building. Their thoughts came to her like radio signals. Dr. Rodriguez was thinking about the test results. about how Lyra's cells could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Kethavara was thinking about her home world, about how her people needed elf DNA to survive a plague that was killing them. Someone else was thinking about escape plans, about how to get the elves out safely. That person was coming closer. She could sense them moving through the building like a shadow. The guard was taking her back to the locked room, but she knew help was coming. She just had to stay alive long enough for it to arrive.